Y'all, I just bought a house. As a single freelance creative, I never thought homeownership was in the cards for me. But there's actually a ton of financial support for people just like me and for you. So today on CityCast Las Vegas, I'm sitting down with Nia Girma from the Nevada Housing Division to discuss programs that make becoming a homeowner in Las Vegas more affordable than you'd think. It's Tuesday, February 4th. I'm Sarah Lohman, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. Nia, I feel like as a millennial, the home buying conversation has really been about this idea that homeownership for my generation and younger generations is just not possible. Is home buying in Las Vegas right now as hard as it seems?
Thank you for asking me that question. And I have to start with saying congratulations to you. Buying a house and buying your first home is an outstanding accomplishment and just
Thank you.
a way to establish just generational wealth, but just also stabilization for yourself, for your family. I hope that you have celebrated responsibly. I know that it's...
I just had my housewarming party last week with all of my friends and family, and I've promised to have more parties now that I know where I'm living. I have moved 18 times in the last 20 years. It's massively destabilizing, and so to think that this is my home and nobody can tell me no or raise my rent or evict me is incredible.
Awesome. Exactly. Yes. Moving, you hit the nail on the head. Moving so many times as an adult is destabilizing, but studies show that children who move more than 5 times throughout the span of their academic career are much less likely to go to secondary education, to graduate college, to even go to college, to be able to find stable employment. And it really sets the scene for the trajectory of their lives. So I'm going to be honest, home buying is hard. Home buying is hard all over the country. And there's definitely some different outliers here in Las Vegas, in Nevada, that make it more difficult. But it is not impossible and it can happen. I'm so glad to hear that not only you've purchased a home, but you're purchasing a home as a millennial. Many organizations that I am members of and participate with have a strong push towards that millennial generation because there's so many factors that make that generation feel the way you feel, right, Sarah? We've watched our parents lose homes in the recession. We have decided that we're not necessarily putting our value in, having a typical, like, straight out of, college government job. And we want to be creative and we want to have gigs and we want to be free to travel and not necessarily have that, that typical W-2 income that a lot of home buyers start out with. So it can make it more difficult and it can make millennials feel like that this is not the path for them. However, I cannot begin to impress enough. If there's one thing I can always remind people, if you take away from this conversation, is that yes, you are a new home buyer, but you have always been paying a mortgage. You were just paying someone else's mortgage. And so if we can find ways and paths to get you to home ownership that don't necessarily involve the traditional steps, whether that and identifying roadblocks such as down payment assistance, closing costs, knowing where to start, knowing how to budget, how to plan. And that is why the Division of Housing, the Nevada Housing Division here in Las Vegas, we have a home buying program that is specific to first-time home buyers, as well as all of our moderate income Nevadans who need that extra assistance to get into a home.
So not just first-time home buyers.
Not just first-time home buyers. We have a wide range of programs that range from first-time home buyers to our veteran community, as well as to teachers. We have a teachers program, which we've been very proud of because we've helped over 1,200 teachers purchase a home. And that's important because I remember going out to schools where my children went to school, and some of their teachers were working and serving our children here in the southwest part of Las Vegas, but then driving to Boulder City every day to live because that was the only place that they could afford to rent. So we have the down payment assistance program for teachers. We have a standard down payment assistance program for buyers that don't necessarily have to be first-time home buyers, but It just have
Mm-hmm.
to be within that moderate income range, and really trying to expand and give Nevadans a safer place to live and provide that stability and that next step towards the American dream.
So, why is it so hard to buy a house in Las Vegas right now?
So there's a lot of factors, one of which being the pricing. If I'm just being completely honest, post 2020 during the pandemic, there was a huge rush of lower interest rates. There was
Mm,
only a certain amount of homes and so many people looking to purchase homes that it
mm,
really drove the price up. We've never really seen those prices come down. The median sales price here in Clark County, for example, I believe is $480,000 to
wow.
purchase a home. And if you take the median sales price and you look at what our median income is for the area median income for Clark County, workers, it doesn't really match up. So
Yeah.
it almost makes it extremely difficult to qualify for a mortgage for a home, a median price home, and then also have that huge balloon amount of money, which is that down payment and closing
Yeah.
costs to purchase the home, which is where our division comes in, and so many programs in the state come in to not only let you know that these programs exist and they're available, but really be able to help you get that funding to get over that hurdle.
You know what? Yeah, let's talk about that hurdle because for me, that is what held me back. Not the idea of paying a mortgage month to month, but it has always been hard for me and I think a lot of millennials to save, right? That you're expected to have $30,000 for a down payment. And I just didn't have that money. But that's when I found out about the Home is Possible program. Can you talk to us a little bit more about Home is Possible?
Sure. And then just to dispel that rumor too, we do not need 30% to purchase a home. We
Mm-hmm.
don't need
Mm-hmm.
20%. We don't need 10% down. So with an with the FHA loan mortgage program, you can purchase a home with as little as 3.5% down. There are conventional programs that allow 3 to 5% down. And then you, of course, have your closing costs, which is a rule of thumb. We always expect that closing costs will be approximately 3% of the
Mm-hmm.
purchase price of your home, which if we're buying a $400,000 home, that translates to about $12,000, right? And if we're, need down payment to get into that home, that's another three and a half. So we're looking at $25,000 we may need to purchase a home.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, with the down payment assistance program, we are able to provide up to 5% of the total loan amount with a cap of $20,000 to get you over that hump of the down payment and closing costs to purchase the home. It sounds very complicated, but it's quite simple. Our division just asks that you are working and living here in Nevada, that you have an income that doesn't exceed $105,000 if you're a family of two, or there's different income rates for different counties, and that you're not purchasing a home that is more than $500,000. You have a minimum credit score of 640, and you take a home buyer education course. Those are the basic requirements to get
Mm-hmm.
into our program. And then also, because it is a public private partnership, it's not funding that goes away. So this is an
Mm-hmm.
ongoing program that continues to replenish and refuel. We actually just celebrated our 30,000th home buyer who has purchased a home
Maybe it
using
was
our
me.
program.
Maybe I was
I
29,999.
believe you may have been 30,004.
Oh. I believe it. I believe it. That's so cool. If I could just speak to some of my personal experience with this program.
Of course.
On the Home is Possible website, they give you a list of mortgage brokers that work within the Home is Possible program. They make it all easy. They know what you need. Yes, there is a pile of documents that you have to provide and sign. But in the end, I met the income requirements and I was able to get all 5% of my down payment covered by Home is Possible. And correct me if I'm wrong, Nia, but that is a grant. That is not something that I have to make payments on right now. That is not something that is gaining interest. There's only certain conditions in which I have to pay back that amount, which I will fully disclose was over $13,000.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It's not necessarily a grant, but it's what we call a silent second. So it does come in the form of a loan, but the way it works is that there's no payments, there's no
Mm-hmm.
interest. So you borrow $13,000, and as long as you stay in the loan and in your
Mm-hmm.
home, then you are not paying back that funding, and it is forgivable after a certain amount of time.
This program was literally life-changing for me, Nia, because my situation was unique in that I'd been renting this home and I was being evicted because the home was going up for sale. So I had not planned on buying a home, and I had about 6 months to get money together. So the combination with me saving plus this loan is really what made it possible. So mortgage and interest rates are increasing at a rate that is higher than wages are increasing. Do you think that people should still think about their mortgage in terms of paying out a certain percentage of their income? Or is that an old-fashioned way to think about things?
So I don't necessarily say that we should think about the interest rate or I won't purchase a home that I have more of a 6% interest rate or a 7% interest rate. And I wish
Mm,
I had a crystal ball to tell us interest rates will drop or interest rates will be right. But the bottom line is that right now is the best time to buy a home because the home that you're looking at today is going to be worth more and cost more to get into a year from now, 2 years
mhm,
from now. Sometimes we adopt the attitude of date the rate and marry the home, meaning you get into a home that you can afford. We never want you to be cash poor. And that's why
mhm,
all of these mortgage guidelines are set up to make sure that you are in a home that you can afford to pay the mortgage on every month. But I always tell people, a lot of people looked at interest rates a year ago and said, oh, they're at 6%. That's a little bit too high for me and I don't want to do it. Well, now interest rates are creeping at 7%. So
yeah.
as time moves on, interest rates may increase, they may decrease. It's a very volatile situation, but we know for sure that the prices of homes will increase.
So everyone's a little bit different, but can you give in general the top 3 programs that someone in Las Vegas can access as a potential home buyer?
Absolutely. So of
Your
course,
recommendations.
yes. So, of course, I will have to say the Home is Possible program through
Hmm.
the Nevada Housing Division is a excellent program. I also love the fact that we are statewide, so we have no
Hmm.
geographical restrictions. Any place in the state of Nevada that you are approved for and are able to buy a home, we are able to provide that assistance for you. I would have to say a close second and a program that I love and is dear to my heart is through the Nevada Rural Program. A
Mm.
lot of times people don't mention that in Las Vegas. However, there are several areas that you wouldn't be surprised that are considered rural areas. I know previously, before the 2020 census, we had Enterprise, which is a really great area, sort of west of the South Point Hotel. There are some
Hmm.
areas in Summerlin near the Calico Basin at the base of Red Rock that are still considered rural, and there's some really great areas over in Eastern Flamingo called the
Hmm.
Whitney area. Those are all rural areas. The reason I bring that up is that the Nevada Rural Housing Program does have programs that are a little bit more flexible as far as income requirements and the amount of down payment assistance you can receive if you fall into those categories. They have a great website called the Home at Last website or how, where you can literally plug in and type in those
Mm.
addresses to see if you're eligible. And then all of our culinary workers, there's an excellent culinary program that's available through Nevada Partners. And what I love about that is that they offer that program. They have homebuyer education, that they offer extensive budgeting, planning resources in English and in Spanish to be able to help the backbone of our community, really
Mm.
our culinary workers who are working every day in the hospitality industry and keep people coming and happy and smiling in Las Vegas, which keeps our city growing and moving. So those would be my top three that I would look into. But I have to say, a shameless plug, that there's not too much that
Please.
compares to the Home is Possible program.
I'll change my life. And you mentioned county workers. You also mentioned veterans and teachers. So these are programs not just for first-time home buyers. I want to shout out a couple things I've discovered since becoming a home buyer. Nevada Energy offers an appliance replacement program where if your appliances are more than 11 years old, you basically send a serial number and they send you a new Energy Star certified. You can get washer, dryer, refrigerator, or freezer. The appliances were here in the house. I sent in the serial numbers, and I am getting delivered a new refrigerator and a new dryer to help save on my energy costs. And that is all free. The hauling and the installation is all done for free. There's also the state weatherization project, which if you, there's very strict income requirements there as well, but they do things like inspect your heating and cooling system, install new ones, install new windows. You can have like an energy consultant come in and look at the ways you can improve your home to save money. And a lot of that can happen for free, again, if you're under certain income requirements too. So the help is ongoing.
Yeah, well, Sarah, I think I'm going to have to send you a recruitment package. I got to get you over here at the housing division because you are on it.
But I mean, I am a researcher and like I needed these things because even, again, full disclosure, I work here at CityCast, but this is a part-time job. So I'd only been here a year and that income didn't count towards my mortgage. So even though I was, making more money than just my freelancing, I had to rely on these programs to make it all happen so that the banks would trust me to continue to pay for them. Actually, speaking of, if someone is a first-time home buyer, what are some common mistakes? What are some things that can trip them up?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. So some common mistakes. I know this sounds very silly, but people, if you're starting to look for a home, the first thing you want to do before, and any realtor worth their salt will tell you this before you get started, but let's not start driving around and looking for a home that you're in love with. The first thing you want to do is speak to a lender, a trusted lender. We have over 100 lender partners that are listed on our website, but we still want you to do, your due diligence, vet them, make sure it's someone that you have a good relationship and a rapport. I often say that working with a lender is probably one of the most intimate relationships that you will ever have. You will tell your lender, or you should tell your lender, things that your best friend or your romantic partner don't know about your spending habits, right? Once you get approved and receive that pre-qualification letter, that is like your golden ticket to go around. Find yourself a realtor. There are a lot. Once again, we have a lot list of realtors that we work with. You're not required to work with them. You can work with any realtor that you want to, but you want to find a realtor is going to take their time and be able to, who hopefully is knowledgeable about down payment assistance programs, but take their time and go through the pros and cons of different homes and really be able to negotiate some things for you. For example, a good realtor will not only, if you're eligible for down payment assistance, but a good realtor will probably be able to negotiate some closing costs from the seller for you. And that's extremely important. And then once you found that home and you've gotten, all of your ducks in a row and you've submitted in all the documents that we talked about, right, Sarah, all of your income documents, your blood type, your firstborn, all of those things that we do need to know to get you
so much paper.
Approved for the home. We have similar to what you would call a deposit for, renting a home, but it's your escrow, your earnest money deposit. So you put that in it. So a neutral party, the title company, holds that in escrow to make sure that the seller is protected and that you are protected as you move through this home buying process. And while you're in escrow waiting to get those final documents and loans closed, I know this sounds very silly and sounds like just easy to know, but don't go shopping. Do not go and say, I'm getting a house. Let me go get a line of credit down at the furniture store. Don't open up any new credit cards so you can go crazy on Amazon and buy a bunch of things to stock your home. Do not buy a new car. Don't make any major changes to your credit standing and your credit worthiness until after you have successfully closed on your home and gotten your new keys. And I say that because there is one story too many of people who were right there at the precipice, at the cusp, and then they decided to make some purchases that for whatever reason their lender didn't advise them against. So,
and it can really be a long process. So, why should everyone in Las Vegas care that homeownership is possible and affordable?
Oh my goodness. So homeownership is the key to so many things, right? Homeownership brings stability, as we talked about. Homeownership brings options. When I say options, maybe we don't always want to continue to work a, standard 9 to 5. Maybe we have dreams of entrepreneurship. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
we've had a little bit of difficulty getting a small business loan, but guess what? Owning a home gives you an option to be able to pull funding out for what you need, what you desire, whether it is taking out a small amount of money to start your own business, or the amount of money that you need to take funds out and send your children to college, or
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that you're able to go and go back to your homeland and spend a month showing your family, the country where you grew up. All of those options are available when you own a home. And
Mm.
sometimes when we are not homeowners, we are stuck in this phase of still paying a mortgage, as I mentioned, because you're renting, but you're paying someone else's mortgage,
Right.
and not necessarily having those options. After 20 years of paying, in a nice apartment and paying $1,500 a month for rent, when it's all said and done, you just walk away with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And so the options that it gives you and the opportunity to build generational wealth, to leave something for your children, to give yourself options is limitless, honestly. So I know a lot of times we complain about Las Vegas being a transient city, and it's hard to establish roots and find your community. I am a transplant. I've been here for 20 years, and I've been very blessed to find my community here. And the people are here, but it is a lot easier to settle down roots if you are somewhere where you will be for the next 10 to 15 years, and not wondering what next year's increase in rent, where that will send you.
Yeah. The breaking point for me was I had put in so much sweat equity into this property already.
Yeah,
And now knowing that that work gets to stay here with
that's
me and that I
amazing.
can continue to do that and it stays with me in this home and adds to its value, that feels really rewarding and has me like looking forward to the future for the first time.
That's awesome. And I just want to say, as a testament, your story is so great on so many levels, because you were forced and put in that position, and you were lucky enough to find some programs available for you. You are now have this platform to tell the story, right? We all know the hierarchy of needs is that, we need food and shelter. So before you can
Mm-hmm.
become a better person, that your best self, before you can have a, grounded education and work on your career, you need someplace stable to lay your head. And so that is what
That's
we're
it.
working that is what we are working towards every day at the housing division.
Nia, thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate it. And hey, everyone listening, if I can do it, you can do it. And Nia's here to help you too.
Yes, thank you so much.
That's all for today here in CityCast Las Vegas. If you enjoyed the show, send it to a friend, maybe one that's trying to buy a house. You can also rate the show and leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe to our morning newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Take care.